A Bitcoin bull run has kicked off today with the BTC USD price smashing through 18k this morning. What could have triggered the rally? Well, big news, El Salvador has passed its digital securities law, extending its first mover advantage into the crypto space and paving its way for the issuance of volcano bonds in the country. We'll chat about this today and why it's huge news for Bitcoin adoption worldwide. All this and more in today's crypto news. But first, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for regular crypto news updates, and let's get into it. Recently, we covered the news that the finance minister of El Salvador was submitting a new bill to its parliament to regulate crypto securities and be able to issue what it calls volcano bonds in the country. This follows the news in late 2021 when El Salvador made history by becoming the first country in the world to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. Today, the bill passed 62 to 16 votes. It was a landslide. Let me explain the Bitcoin bond. Typically, a country like El Salvador would have few options of raising money through bonds. They'd probably have to go to the IMF or China or the US to borrow money at a very high rate and deal with it on their terms. Now they have an alternative. They can offer what they call volcano bonds, which is a bond that is essentially backed by their Bitcoin mining that is going to be using volcanoes because it has renewable energy, so it's just a fancy kind of name. So they're offering these bonds worldwide for anyone to invest in El Salvador. The bonds would be available at cheap prices like $100 and purchasable by anyone at any time because the Bitcoin network is always on. They pay the bondholders a coupon rate on their terms, and they will be betting on the price of Bitcoin going up over the 5 to 10 year time scale, which they would then pay back to bondholders at maturity. This has easily been done before. Typically, Bitcoin does a 10x every 3 to 4 years. They're also building a Bitcoin city in the country, which is demonstrating the solidarity of their belief in the currency. Really important. Volcano bonds will be issued on the Liquid network, which is a layer 2 solution on top of the Bitcoin network. This is a huge deal because crypto enthusiasts world over can now invest in the success of a country that will have a compounding effect for all the countries that follow in El Salvador's footsteps. Also, all Bitcoin holders worldwide. One portion of the crypto economy is the countries that adopt it as legal tender and advocate for its economic use. El Salvador is becoming a model for the world. It should be noted that the bill also contains laws about regulating crypto assets as securities. Here's the quote from the Bitcoin Office Twitter account of El Salvador. Today, El Salvador builds on our first mover advantage by passing landmark legislation establishing a legal framework for all digital assets that are not Bitcoin, as well as those issued on Bitcoin. The law also paves the way for volcano bonds, which we will soon begin issuing. El Salvador is the epicenter of Bitcoin adoption and thus economic freedom, financial sovereignty, censorship resistance, and unconfiscatable wealth. When we issue the first of the volcano bonds, we will once again be blazing the path forward for this new monetary revolution. With the passing of this digital securities law, El Salvador will offer unprecedented consumer protection from bad actors in the crypto space, while also firmly establishing that we are open for business to all those who wish to build the future with us on Bitcoin. This news is super exciting. It's really fusing the crypto economy with the real world. Where do we go from here? This is huge news for Bitcoin adoption. Every success El Salvador has with Bitcoin will give more confidence to other South American countries who are watching closely at what's going on. As the saying goes, first slowly, then all at once. You can bet that the 18k pump today had a lot to do with the passing of this new law. We'll keep watching closely and cover this news as the bonds go live very soon. Gemini's Cameron Winklevoss has published a letter in which he accuses Genesis and its parent company Digital Currency Group, DCG, from defrauding Gemini and over 340,000 Gemini-earned users. In addition, the letter claims Barry Silbert committed acts of fraud along with other key personnel within the company. According to the letter, rather than taking steps to restructure and protect users after the cryptocurrency hedge fund 3 Arrows Capital collapsed, Genesis pretended to fill a $1.2 billion hole in their loan book. The total amount lent to 3 Arrows Capital was $2.36 billion, with losses of at least $1.2 billion. Winklevoss states that beginning in July 2022, Barry, DCG, and Genesis embarked on a carefully crafted campaign of lies to make Gemini-earned users and other lenders believe that DCG had injected $1.2 billion of actual support into Genesis. Additionally, Winklevoss describes how Genesis allegedly provided loans to 3 Arrows Capital without taking into account the risks associated with these loans. He goes on to claim that the cryptocurrency hedge fund was allegedly diverting investments into Grayscale Investments GBTC, which prevented the trust from experiencing a growing discount. The Gemini-owned users were then exposed to this risk. Here's the quote that concluded the letter. There is no path forward as long as Barry Silbert remains CEO of DCG. He has proven himself unfit to run DCG and unwilling and unable to find a resolution with creditors that is both fair and reasonable. As a result, Gemini, acting on behalf of 340,000 earned users, requests that the board remove Barry Silbert as CEO effective immediately and install a new CEO who will right the wrongs that have occurred under Barry's watch. Wow, these are some pretty big claims that have been made against Barry Silbert. Clearly there's a lot of bad blood going on after the last few weeks of Gemini expecting that their debt is going to be repaid, and it's constantly being shown that it's not. What do you think of the Genesis Gemini scenario? Are the earned customers going to get their money back from here, or is it game over for them? Twitter is developing a coins feature that will allow users to award individual tweets with real monetization that can be purchased with fiat currency. This is a next step into Twitter monetization. The service has had tipping available for a while, but this will be the first time you can directly award tweets with coins. This comes off the back of a recent presentation Elon gave the company about the future features of the communication service, one of them being monetization. For now, it appears the coins will have to be at least $50 to redeem, which is the same as the minimum payout amount for those monetizing Twitter's existing super followers feature. There aren't any explicit indications that the monetization will be directly in crypto. Even if this isn't directly related to crypto, they can still add it into the code when it's ready. It's a step in that direction, to say the least. If you haven't already, hit the like button and subscribe for more regular crypto news content. That's all for today's crypto news. I'll see you next time for another update.